Technical difficulties, so I'll play a video in a moment. But today, well, first of all, welcome to Exposing Sierra Leone, where we talk about this week's news in Sierra Leone, things that are impacting us and things that are impacting the diaspora. I had a video that I wanted to play, but for some reason, it is giving me some issues. So I'm going to try it again. But before we do we want to do some quick introductions? Maybe I turn it over to my co-host really quickly to introduce herself, and then I introduce myself.
I don't think the Sierra Leoneans page is live.
I think it's live. It's just a little bit slow to catch up. It's not showing us on screen right now. Something's going on
Okay.
with the
Okay, no
live
problem.
stream.
Okay. Welcome everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's been a while. Sorry. But we're back and thank you for tuning in. My name is Admire. I am the founder of the Sierra Leoneans Killing It page. I'm also an entrepreneur and a licensed braider based in LA now. Um, Sierra Leoneans Killing It page is basically a page where I post Sierra Leoneans who are positively doing things in our killing it in our community pretty much. So if you haven't already, follow the page to keep up and network and follow these people as you get to know them online, network with them. You never know. Also, if you're looking for a braider in the LA area, I'm your girl. Book with me. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, cool. So you guys can see us. That's great because I'm for whatever reason. And on the Sierra Leoneans Killing page, you guys can see us good. Okay. So, all right. So I'm Joe Hatagwa. I am the founder of Authentic African and AuthenticAfrican.com. It's an e-commerce store that is meant to share ethically sourced, handmade products made from people on the continent to people in the diaspora. I also run Authentic African across all platforms. That is about connecting connecting diasporans and Africans from around the world and on the continent. I'm also Sierra Leonean, represented every day. So does Admire. Admire has the bracelet with Sierra Leone on her wrist as well. Of course, we rep every single day. So, look, this is a very serious topic. We wanted to talk about it today. The visa restrictions on Sierra Leone. It's been blowing up my DMs and my WhatsApp messages. And this past week, I was in with a bunch of family members, and it came up in the conversation. So we thought we would share the details with you guys. And I have inside knowledge because I know someone who works at the American Embassy in Sierra Leone. And on Friday, we had a 2-hour long conversation. So we're going to give you guys a little bit of an update of what's happening with the travel ban overall. And then we'll speak specifically to Sierra Leone and the travel restrictions for Sierra Leone. It is interesting to say the least, but we got it for you. So here it is.
Visitors from 12 countries will no longer be welcome in the United States. U.S. President Donald Trump says his new travel ban is essential to protect national security.
We will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe.
Total bans affect Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. While Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela face partial restrictions.
So as you can see, the mention of Sierra Leone was there. So now I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background and some insight into this, and then we can kind of give some commentary and some thoughts. I don't know how many of you guys, let us know in the comments and in the chat if you guys were aware of this travel restriction and travel ban. If you heard about it, if it came up in your feeds, if anybody mentioned it to you. And specifically to Sierra Leone, because I'm interested to hear how it came across to everyone else. But real quick, just from a high level, there's some key points that the new travel ban is doing to affect Sierra Leone. So there's partial restrictions on 7 countries. Sierra Leone is one of them. These countries, nationals from these countries can no longer receive immigrant visas or non-immigrant visas in certain categories like tourism, business, student visa, exchange visitor visas. Some work visas, some non-immigrant visa categories aren't specifically named in the ban. and potentially may still be issued, but I got some details on that in a second. Visa insurance and renewals is also an issue. Visa embassies and consulates will stop issuing the affected visa categories to Sierra Leone starting June 9th. That's tomorrow. But let me tell you guys something. That is not the case. Everything had to be picked up by Friday, end of day, in order to issue those visas that already were issued in Sierra Leone. So if you were not in Freetown and you did not come on Friday to pick up your visa, the visa was not issued, to be very clear.
Goodness.
And it won't be issued on Monday, because it's Monday by a certain time is when they're stopping those visas that they had already issued. So Monday, they're not allowing people, as far as I know, Monday, they're not allowing people to go pick up those visas. So you had to come in on Friday. So let's say you were upline somewhere else, not in Freetown. If you did not come to pick up your visa, you did not get a visa. So really quickly, let's just put some information on the screen. So tourist visas, as I mentioned, are suspended. Student visas are suspended. Exchange visas are suspended. Immigrant visas are suspended, as we mentioned. Some work visas are restricted. And green card holders are not immediately affected. So if you're a green card holder living in the United States, apparently you're not immediately affected. So before we get into more details and what I know, I'd love to get your thoughts on the initial. So first of all, Admire, did you hear about this? And what were your thoughts when you heard it?
I did. I seen it. I don't know which blog. I think Salon Congosa, or I'm not sure, but I saw it on the internet and I was like shocked. I was like, this is crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and so agreed. Especially because Sierra Leone was called out in the original. So you guys might remember a couple of months back, I reported on this, or I covered this, and it was the idea that Sierra Leone might be listed as a restricted visa country. It was an internal memo that was floated. We knew that there was a potential that it was going to come, but it actually happened. Pro Women says, yeah, I knew. New York Times feed had it on in their feed. Wow. So New York Times called it out. And I guess they included Sierra Leone as the visa restricted countries. Zainabu Sisse Hara, what's up, Zain? She says, just go to non-visa needed countries, Ceylon people. Yes, that's true. Sierra Leoneans can go other places,
right,
not to the United States, because the United States has this right now. Partial restrictions are still very heavy. So let me tell you what I thought. So my initial thought was, I'm not surprised because of the original internal memo that had gone out a while back. Now, I was interested to know the details of this. And so I spoke to somebody with intimate knowledge. And so these are very specific details that I got that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think that there is some it's important to understand where this came down, who's affected, who's not affected. So I mentioned the affected visa types, tourist visas, fiance visas. So if you guys have ever seen that show 90 Day Fiance, right, where you are engaged, they come to the United States, you have 90 days to physically go sign the papers. That is an affected visa type. Family preference visas are also affected. Again, special immigrant visas, diplomatic visas, and immediate relative visas are not necessarily impacted but it may be still difficult to get these visas. So, and I think one of the things that I have been told anecdotally is that one of the challenges that Sierra Leone faces is that our diplomatic visas are being abused from time to time, where folks who are only supposed to bring your immediate family end up bringing other folks who are not immediate family. And that, I think, all puts a strain on how Sierra Leone is seen by a country that is already restrictive of people who are coming to the country.
right.
So, for whatever reason, other countries around Sierra Leone are not affected. Other countries that have challenges similar to Sierra Leone. I think there's speculation in terms of why Nigeria may not be affected, and that's because Tiffany Trump, Donald Trump's youngest daughter, married a Lebanese Nigerian businessman. And so, and apparently he brought a lot of support from the Lebanese Nigerian American community voting for him. And so that seems to be the speculation as to why Nigeria wasn't on this list. So that is so let me give you guys some more context and some more insight, because I think this is also important. So the reasons, well, you know what? Yeah, so let's do some of the reasons. So because I want to speak to the disputes for some of these reasons and some of what some people might see as challenges for some of the reasons. So first things first is the B1 B2 visa, which is specific to, what's the B1 B2? Okay, that's a tourist visa. The B1 B2 is a tourist visa. They say about 15.43%. And by the way, this data is based on 2023. They're not doing this based on 2024. So we don't know. It's supposed to be done based, any visa approval process, restrictions, etc., is usually based on the previous year's data. So it should be based on 2024 data. Right now, this is based on 2023 data. We don't know why, but that's how they decided to do it. Based on their reporting, they say that 15.43% of those visitor visas, the B1, B2 tourist visas, overstay the visa time frame that they're supposed to be in the United States. This number did seem substantial, and the student visa number is 35.83%
That's
of
a lot.
student visas are apparently overstaying. So, and then the last two is insufficient deportation cooperation. To be clear, from the commentary that I heard from people who work at the embassy, is that they're disputing insufficient deportation cooperation. There is a story that was circulating that there was a Haitian immigrant they were attempting to deport to Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone was not willing to take someone who is not a Sierra Leone national, which is fair and normal, by the way. And so there may be some speculation around the fact that that's why they're saying insufficient deportation cooperation. In terms of screening data sharing concerns, they're not really clear on what they wanted here, but Sierra Leone has stated that they comply with all of the requirements that the United States makes for issuing visas. And as someone who has 3 people that I know personally who applied for visas within the last 12 months, all denied, they followed all of the rules and all of the requirements necessary. But, like, it's a very small percentage of people who get approved for tourist visas. And in that case, they anecdotally told me something like 50 people might be there and 3 or 5 people might get it. Now, these are numbers that they're just throwing out there. They're estimating, so, but those are the kinds of numbers that I have heard from people who have been at the American Embassy attempting to get a visa. So looking at this, though, I mean, 35.83%. What I was saying earlier, we were talking about this earlier, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Admire. My biggest thing is just don't give people a reason to do something like these restrictions.
Yeah.
We know, look, at any given time, there can be administration in the United States that is anti-immigration, right? Except for South African Afrikaners, right? Everybody else, especially those who are from the continent of Africa, are not as welcome generally. So, this gives them a number to point at to say this is the reason why we're doing this. And to be honest with you, 35% is very high. If the number was like 10%, okay, fine, 10%, okay. 35% does seem like a high number. Now, I'm not saying I agree with the policies of the government of the United States in particular, but I just do understand that in this case, they feel like they have an argument to make, right, as to why they should restrict this. What are your thoughts, Admire, on this?
Honestly, kind of like how basically your thoughts. Like I won't say I agree with the US policy, but 35% is definitely up there. It's not a little number necessarily. So like you said, if the country already getting restriction there, go and do something where you dey give them attention, more attention for let them, you know, give you leeway, it doesn't make sense to give them something to talk about, or a reason.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, yeah, and some of the comments I think are hilarious. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, they feel like they have a reason. There are many things that they do that I don't think make sense, like talking about taking Palestinian refugees and sending them to Libya, or sending people to Venezuela, or was it sending people to El Salvador, who are Venezuelan, or from other countries. To me, those things don't make sense, and
yeah,
they really can't justify a lot of what they did there. With this, they feel like they can justify it, and it's hard to defend, when the number is that high. Now, the question is this a number that we all agree with? Like, is this a number that Sierra Leone agrees with? I don't know where this number. I don't know how this number is derived, and I should have asked that question before, but it's there. A couple of comments that came up. I think they're interesting ones. So WBG Sports and Fitness LLC says, my best guess is that the president of the United States wants Sierra Leone to be a puppet to him. And they say he's using tools like this to pressure the government. Possibly.
yeah,
there are pressure campaigns used in different ways. I'm not too sure the United States has been that defiant. I'm not too sure Sierra Leone has been that defiant of the United States, to be honest, in terms of the federal government of Sierra Leone. So I don't know. Now, WBG Sports says, can Sierra Leone implement the same rules because it happens on the other side? The thing is, when you're implementing a rule like this, you want to have the advantage, right? So there aren't a ton of people. Sorry, let's take it back. The people who are looking to get visas to come to Sierra Leone are looking to help to improve Sierra Leone in many ways, right? So if you restrict people, because that would have been me in 2017, I did not have dual citizenship. I needed to get a visa to come to Sierra Leone, and everything I do today is in service of the continent of Africa, but obviously a major focus on Sierra Leone. I bought land, I am building, I employ people there. Having restrictions on me coming there would not have been helpful, right? So it's not the same thing that you could do in this case. Now, what would have been the case is if the continent of Africa was operating as the United States of Africa, where as one country, the continent of Africa had the ability to use collective bargaining. So they could say, you can't come to the Congo to get certain minerals because you've made these restrictions on one of our regions or the continent of Africa, right? That's when you actually have some leverage. You can say, you know what, I don't want Americans to get a visa to come to Africa in general. And that might be different people who are, especially in the exploitative industries like mining, oil and gas, etc., right?
yeah,
And increase the prices to import into America. That's when you have the ability to have that kind of a exchange. Right now, you really don't have that leverage and that bargaining power by saying we're going to restrict Americans getting visas to come to Sierra Leone. That's counterintuitive for the progress of Sierra Leone, if I'm being honest. So I understand the thought process, but I think Sierra Leone today is not in a position to do that. We would be able to do that if we were a part of a larger bloc that did that together, where there are minerals and resources that America wanted and would need to have visas to come to America to access.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over some of the comments?
Yeah, please. Yeah. What are some people saying?
Somebody said, Zane NYC said, go to the Caribbean or Asia, which is much nicer.
Yeah, that's Zainabu. Yeah, so that's true.
And
I mean,
then-
look, look, at the end of the day, every country is going to operate in their own best interests. So, people have horror stories from every country they go to outside of Sierra Leone, right? There's always issues, but if you're looking for opportunity, you're looking for ways to expand. China is working really hard to do more business in West Africa. And I have personally, I know four people who go back and forth to China currently and do business in China. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a lot easier to do business and to bring in goods from China to Sierra Leone than it is from Sierra Leone. I mean, from the United States to Sierra Leone. And most of what's in the United States gets manufactured and made in China anyway. So, you know, you might as well skip the middleman. It's not even a middleman. It's across the way and back to Sierra Leone. You might as well just go straight to the source. So I agree with that. Anybody else? Any other comments?
Let me see. Somebody said that's quite ignorant of them for wanting to deport a Haitian to Sierra Leone. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So what
Oh,
happened
okay.
was when they were saying that the Sierra Leone was not complying with repatriation, that's one of the reasons that they put on their list. So there was a list here. Insufficient deportation cooperation. So the example I made of that was there was a story about a Haitian that America was trying to deport to Sierra Leone. And so Sierra Leone wasn't willing to accept them, because that makes sense. You're not going to accept somebody from another country that's not your country. And so, that's why the United States offers to pay countries to do that, right? So they've done that likely with El Salvador. Apparently, it's on the table that they'll do it with Rwanda. It's on the table that they might do it in Libya, where they might pay them to bring migrants from somewhere else to put in their country. In some cases, that might be those who may have committed a crime, so to put them in their jails. And in other cases, that just might be to repatriate those people into those countries. It's not even repatriate, expatriate those people into those countries that are not their countries of origin, and send them back to the country they're originally from if they do not decide to give them a visa. Before we get to some more comments that you find, Admire, I want to read this one because this is an important one. Elon Musk overstayed his visa in the U.S. and then became a co-president of the United States. This is simply pure racism, nothing less, like most of the things Trump and his administration does. So let's. So I want to be clear on this. Not only did he overstay his visa, Elon Musk also committed visa fraud by entering the United States. So his brother has said publicly on multiple occasions that they came in on student visas. Elon Musk did not go to college in the United States. He ended up working on his startup and combining forces with the folks who started PayPal. And that's the group they call the PayPal Mafia, many of which have worked and working close to or are advising the current administration of the United States. But what came out of that is a company called Palantir, Peter Thiel, who is the reason why the vice president is the vice president. JD Vance used to work with Peter Thiel. I think was it Jamie Sachs is also former PayPal. Obviously Elon Musk. And then there's one more person that's a former PayPal person that's really close in the administration orbit. You guys also might remember Sierra Leone brought in what they called, the United States brought in what they called refugees from South Africa. There's the spat with the South African president, saying falsities and falsehoods and misquoting, using pictures from the Congo, saying these are farmers, African farmers in South Africa, just all the misinformation. Elon Musk has until 3 days ago, had a very influential role in the government and the president's ear. They're currently arguing, and there's supposed to be a call that's happening soon to maybe make up. But prior to this spat they had over the last 3 days, Elon Musk was very influential when it came to policies pertaining to at least South Africa and bringing in 40-something or 50-something South Africans, and then there are more that are to be coming. Then one last thing I'll say on this is, so if what they say is true, if what Elon Musk's brother says is true, I don't know if they're retroactively going to do anything about him, overstaying his visa and also using fraud, because he then subsequently became an American citizen. Elon Musk is now an American citizen. So, and he's also he has a ton of government contracts for his business. So the question would be, what happens if they decide to enforce what they would enforce on anybody else, right? Like, imagine if Barack Obama was really Kenyan. Or let's pick somebody else that they're not fans of. You pick a person who has supported the opposition, and that person overstayed their visa and also lied on their visa application and got a visa and didn't even do what they came to do to the United States. How quickly do you think they'd be out of the United States?
That's a good question. Let me see these comments.
Yeah, there's a question about Elon Musk going to UPenn.
It had kicked me out. So I went back on, and those comments aren't showing anymore. Just one comment.
Okay. So so he did graduate from UPenn in 1997. But his brother, let me find the video where his brother talked about it. Because it's either he came in on another visa and not the student visa. Let me see. Let me show you Elon Musk's brother. But in the meantime, any other comments? Oh, you can't see the comments, right?
I only see one comment, and that's by Zane, NYC. She said, Salon people go to St. Vincent, Malaysia, Singapore, Jamaica, Grenada, Fiji, Dominica, Cook Island, British Virgin Islands, Belize, Burkina Faso, Bahamas, Cambodia, Maldives, Nepal, Barbados, etc. That's all I see.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, that's a lot of countries, right? I mean, Sierra Leoneans can go to a number of different countries, and it's, you know, it's an option. I'll say that it's an option. Okay, so his brother Kimball said specifically, let me get this link for you guys. I'll play it for you. But in the meantime, here's something. Do you want to react to this? Trump support calling for him to be deported. They said they just realized Elon is South African and keeps spilling state secrets. He might just be on another next plane. I don't know. I mean, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure the Trump administration is going to do that. I think that we'll see what happens. It seems like there seems like a lot of things going on between those two. There's a lot of argument.
Right. It's been a lot.
Yeah, over the last couple of days, the tweets and you've been in the Epstein files, etc.
Yeah.
But look, anyway, bringing it back to Sierra Leone, I would say this. There's a couple things that I would say, as I think that are really important when it comes to this is, number one, if you know anybody applying for visas, from what I understand, it's unlikely that any new visas will be issued, regardless of whether or not they're on this restriction list or not. I think, you might read the headlines and it says that they are accepting certain types of visas. I think there's an impression that it's unlikely that any new visas will be issued. It's just very unlikely from what I'm hearing. So I think that everyone should be prepared for that. Who knows anybody who's applying for a visa to come to the United States, just know that it's unlikely that that he's gonna be his visa is gonna, or he's gonna get like removed. It's unlikely. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Now, I wanted to play this video for you guys because, hold on. Wait, did the video not download? Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get this set up so you guys can see it. So this was his brother. So this is what everybody's talking about. So his brother apparently said the quiet part out loud, which,
see these numbers every day, but for us to hear, we'll give you $3 million.
Yeah, it sounded extremely. We thought they were crazy. Like, why would they do that?
It was literally like, these people are insane.
They obviously do not realize we're sleeping in the office.
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean,
yes, we were.
I'd say it's a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants. We were sleeping in the office. We didn't have a car. We had one car, but the wheel kept falling off.
But, well, actually, yeah, the wheel.
He said, I would say there was a gray area. I mean, that's not AI. That's a real interview. Okay, to be clear, guys, that's a real interview. This has been corroborated. This happened in real time. People just didn't care back then because it's like, those kinds of illegal immigrants nobody cares about. It's the African ones. or the brown ones, right? That's
Yeah.
what people actually care about in the United States. So, and also because, look, they built a couple of major companies that people find that have contributed positively to American society, right? A space shuttle that can land back on Earth, cars that are electric vehicles and made it so that many people are buying electric vehicles now. Internet service providers that provide service all around the world, critical, infrastructure and things for America's needs in space, etc. So, I think most people were willing to ignore it until they saw how he's been acting over the last 6 months. So anyway, I don't know what you thought about that video where he just said we were illegal immigrants. And
I mean,
go
it's a
ahead.
difference in treatment in the US, how they treat those type of immigrants versus us. So I'm not really, it's not like I'm shocked or anything.
Yeah, I mean, imagine someone else saying it was a gray area, right?
Right.
Like somebody of prominence, of color, saying that we were illegal immigrants. Just straight up said it.
Right.
He straight up said we're illegal immigrants. So now I may have misspoken by saying he was on a student visa and he wasn't on a student visa because apparently he graduated from a university here, but his brother literally said it right there, right? And also I don't know what the terms of the graduation were. With Zip2 and PayPal becoming a thing and being bought by eBay, sometimes it looks good as an organization or as a university to
Right.
shepherd someone through. So just were any more comments and thoughts? Let me see if there were any more comments.
Let me see.
Excuse me, sorry.
On my end, no, because it had kicked me out. Just someone said, I'm glad to be here. We're glad to have you. Thank you for tuning in, you guys.
You know what? I wanted to give you guys some other insight too. I spoke about this, and this is something that's important to know. So those of us who are dual citizens of the United States and of Sierra Leone, public service announcement. If you are global entry, you may not have an issue with this. I don't know, because I'm global entry. They never asked to see my US passport. But let me walk you through what happened over the last 2 weeks since coming back from Sierra Leone and Ghana. So when I was leaving Sierra Leone, I had a conversation with the person who checks your passport on the way out. And I asked him about the viral video that we saw. And he said, America requires any country that you enter outside the United States, and I would imagine countries like Sierra Leone, especially if they're on a banned visa list, your American passport is supposed to be stamped when you leave the United States. Now, prior to this, as long as you have a country passport for that country, you show that passport when you are entering that country. You show your US passport when you're coming to the US. I've done that 15 times smoothly, no issue. This last trip, what I was told is you have to have your American passport stamped when you enter Sierra Leone, because when you come back to the United States, you have to have your passport stamped from the US passport stamped from whatever country you just returned from.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not, you may have issues. Now, that means you have to buy a visa, which is like $80 or more to get a visa to go to Sierra Leone. I was able to get my passport stamped on the way out because I had a good Samaritan, let's say, stamp my passport with the visa. But you're technically supposed to, you're supposed to get a visa. And that's the thing that I don't know if people are very familiar with or understand or know, but that is the conversation that's happening now. Now, I haven't met or talked to anyone who left and came back and had any issues.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody I know, people who are going to Ghana, people who are going everywhere they're going, they are getting a visa, even though you might be a citizen of the country you are going to. Many people are saying to get a visa to enter that country and stamp your US passport so that when you enter back into the United States, it says that you are allowed to enter that country and you can come back. Better to be safe than sorry. So I'm warning you guys here. I'm telling you guys that here. I don't know if it applies to everybody, but I'm being told, policy is being made on a whim, and anything can change and anything can happen. You don't want to be caught in the middle of new policy. So I'm global entry, so my passport did not need to be shown. It's just kind of the facial scan and then you walk through. But for those of you who don't have global entry, just be careful of that. So those of you who are going in December or sooner, just keep that in mind, because it just came up. And I mean, this is before the visa restrictions, because the visa restrictions went into effect on the 5th. That's when the announcement was made. I myself came back from Sierra Leone on the 2nd of June. So it was just before the visa restrictions were announced, but I was told by them that these are things that you need to keep in mind. Let me see if there's anything else to mention. But those are the major facts. Any other thoughts, questions from people who are watching? I want to hear from you guys. If you guys have any thoughts or questions, or if there's anything that you want to address as it pertains to this visa restriction.
The only I see Zane said you can't use your Salon passport to leave the U.S. anymore, or any dual passport. That's it. That's all I see on my end.
Yeah, so there you go. That's to the point I was making earlier. That's one of the issues. So make sure you get your U.S. passport stamped. And that means that you might have to pay for a visa to a country you're already a citizen of, right? Because I'm a dual citizen. I should not have to pay for a visa to enter Sierra Leone, but that is what I'm told is the case that has to be done before you can re-enter the United States. So some other things that people can do, obviously, if you might be affected, you got to talk to an immigration lawyer. I don't normally recommend talking to immigration lawyers around visas, because a lot of them take your money and can't help you actually get a visa. It's pretty intuitive. You can fill it out on your own. You don't and this is for people living in Sierra Leone who want to get visas after all of this cloud clears and changes. Avoid international travel if you're on a temporary visa, because getting back into the country might be an issue. So don't even go to Mexico or Canada, right? If you're on a student visa, you're on any kind of other visa, just stay in America. Obviously, if you know anybody who plans to get a visa or who's in a temporary status visa, make sure you send them this live stream too. And in the post, I posted this post on the Instagram page, and I collaborated with Admire as well for Sierra Leoneans Killing It. So you'll see the post on either page where it describes all of this. I'm just trying to see if there's any more details that I wanted to share on this, but those are the major things that you should know. Okay, so there's some questions. Reynolds says, what if I'm Ghanaian but have Sierra Leone ancestors? How do I get Sierra Leone passport? Because my mom is Ghanaian and my dad is half Ghanaian and half Sierra Leone. Okay, so when it comes to citizenship in Sierra Leone and getting a passport, there are a couple different ways that they offer citizenship. There's citizenship by birthright citizenship, which the United States also have. If you were born in Sierra Leone, you can get citizenship. There's citizenship by accession. Yeah, that's what it's called. And that would mean if your DNA traces back to Sierra Leone and or traces back to any West African country, as long as more than 51% of your DNA traces to West African countries combined, more than 51%, you can get Sierra Leone citizenship. There's 6 companies that Sierra Leone recognizes that you can come to Sierra Leone with through that process. It is about $5,000, $4,000 or so to get that citizenship. And you have to come twice within a 12-month period. Well, once, and then 12 months later, you have to return. That's the process as it's stated today. So 6 companies are approved to take you on tours and to bring you. And there are 4 companies you can use to get your citizenship. So it's Ancestry, DNA, African Ancestry, 23andMe. I guess I don't know if they're even still in business. I know they were filing for bankruptcy. And then there's a 4th one that I posted this a while back, so you can look at that. Now, to answer your question, Reynolds, I know that was a long way to get to, but this is the other one. This is citizenship by descent. Now, the way you get citizenship by descent is if you have parents or grandparents that you can prove were or are Sierra Leonean citizens, right? So, which generally means you have to have the birth certificate and or a passport of theirs that you can utilize for yourself. If you do not have that, then you would have to go through that other route. But you're going to need to have that in order to get your citizenship. So if you can show, and I have to double check on your grandfather. If your grandfather is Limba tribe, I think Reynolds is saying his grandfather is Sierra Leone from the Limba tribe. I know for sure it has to be a parent. I don't know if they go as far back as grandparents. So I think if it's when it's grandparents and further back, you'd have to do the DNA test, prove that more than 51% of your DNA is of West African descent, which you can do already. Then you can get your citizenship. Now you're a Ghanaian. I don't know if this is relegated to Sierra Leone to non-Africans only. They don't make that distinction, but I'm pretty sure that it works for you even if you're a Ghanaian. Yes, it's about $5,000 to take the trip with one of those 6 approved vendors. And when this is Mo Me asked this question. Yeah, but yeah, it's about $5,000. A number of people have done it. You know, I think over 300 people, I think to this point, maybe even over 500. I can't remember. If I'm not mistaken, have gone through the process of getting citizenship. Okay. Are there any other questions, comments, thoughts? I have to go back to Instagram on Authentic African. I can't see if there are more. I'm about to check now.
Let me see.
That's quite ignorant of them wanting to deport a Haitian to Sierra Leone. That's an earlier comment that I missed.
Yeah, those are all earlier comments. I see. I would be mindful to travel to Salon, period. They will side eye us. My mom got a visa for SL in February. And your court immigration appointments, be careful. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, and JMM Cuba says all in the fact that the browning of this continent cannot be stopped nor stalled, and that's what's behind this. Who are they kidding? Meaning the browning of the North American continent. So SLBA Athletes Commission says if someone have a green card, the person can travel to Sierra Leone without being stopped to coming to the United States. Green card holders are supposedly not impacted by this today. If you're a green card holder, that was on the list of people that they say are not impacted. I don't know. If you're a green card holder, maybe you also have to get a visa. I don't even know how that would work. Because they haven't explicitly said anything about that in particular. But it does say that their green card holders are not impacted because it says who's at risk. And it says current visa holders in the US and green card holders, but renewals will be harder. So they're saying green card holders are not at risk technically. They're not affected. And I guess I should have gone through this. So impacted groups, Sierra Leoneans outside the US without existing visas, of course, that's anybody who's planning to apply for a visa. New applicants for study, tourism, and family visas. So anybody who's a new applicant that's like waiting for a visa right now, you're not getting one. So like if you just applied for a visa, nobody's getting that. And if you apply in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, you won't get one. So I wouldn't even apply for any one of these visas at this point in time right now. Future green card applicants are also potentially impacted by this. And visa holders traveling abroad, again, you could face reentry risks. So I would not, if I was you, current visa holder, leave the United States under any circumstances, unless you are willing to potentially not be able to come back to the United States. Right now, they say these people are at risk. There's no details around how much you're at risk, what could actually happen, but the Trump administration can be a little bit unpredictable, to say the very least.
I would definitely say if like if you're not a citizen of the US and stuff, just don't do anything that's gonna get attention. Just stay put and just lay low. No, do not forget attention for call attention to yourself. Just relax. Exactly. And that's that. Just sit on full.
Well, look, I think we kind of covered all the main areas of contention. You know, who's at risk,
Yeah.
what the reasons they gave, all of that. So I think that really covers it. I don't know if there aren't any more questions or thoughts on this particular topic. I think we can bring this to a close.
Excuse
Okay.
me. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Reynolds asked another question. What does Sierra Leone do to Trump government? Is him being biased or what? So I think I addressed this before. I'm not really sure there's any specific thing that, except for the fact that they did not accept Haitian migrants, and you know, the high number of student visas overstaying. Maybe that's it. But there hasn't really been much insight or information as to why Sierra Leone is being targeted, except for maybe the numbers might be a little higher than other countries, you know. And Sierra Leone was already on the orange list from the original list that had gone out previously, right? So, you know, they were always going to be at risk, and I don't think there was much they could have done to change that. So this is a question. Alexi Tillery says, does this include current Sierra Leoneans in the U.S. who have applied to transfer visa from tourist to student visa? They haven't explicitly called this out, but no new student visas are being issued. Right? Like if you don't already have a student visa in hand, from what I understand, no new student visas will be issued. Period. So whether you're a tourist and you want to transfer the student visa, what I'm told is no new student visas for Sierra Leoneans will be issued. Now, is that different if you're already in the United States? I don't know. In fact, if you're already in the United States, they might be more weary of you, because they're already wary of allowing people to come to the United States. You're already in the United States. I don't know if a tourist visa switching to a student visa necessarily will be issued, because from what it says, there is a ban on all student visas. Sorry. Student visas are suspended at this very moment. Tourist visas are suspended at this very moment. Oh, there you go. That was a question. Exchange visas. But I thought this might be foreign exchange, maybe for students that are exchanging from one country to another, right? But it's clear as day, no new visas right now. They're all suspended. So I feel like if you have a tourist visa and you want to get a student visa, it's unlikely that you will be getting that visa. You can go through the process of applying. Just know that you may be spending money and it's unlikely that you will receive it. But I could get further details and clarity on that from my my inside source, who knows some things. I'll let you know once I hear back from them, because I didn't ask that particular question. That was a good one. That's a very specific instance. So Zine also says they also want to reduce the staff and possibly close our U.S. embassy in Sierra Leone. That's something I've heard mentioned for sure. I don't know exactly what the expectation is there, but I have heard that being mentioned. Alexi Tillery says, thanks to you both for the awareness on the issue. Of course, absolutely. Thank you guys for joining. I think it's important.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Zane also said Sierra Leone is not boosting U.S. economy in an impactful way. So there are many reasons.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, we were deemed Muslim terrorism state. Okay, well, there you go. But yeah, I mean, look, I think and Zion's very well connected. You know, she's been talking to folks who know folks, put it that way. Just check her Instagram out and her Facebook. She's always working. She's with the Sierra Leonean Nurses Association, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, awesome.
Really advocate for you know, improving nursing in Sierra Leone. So Zainab is a serious person.
Zainab, we appreciate you. You don't they comment, you don't they engage with we from when we came on. Thank you so much.
Yes, I've known her since I was a child, like before, like younger than 7. We've known each other for a very long time. She went to the same boarding school I did. Fun fact.
Wait, somebody said, can't you see my question? I think we may have skipped it by accident. Forgive us.
And well, can you restate your question so we can see it? Sorry,
I found it. She said you can't use your. She said, oh no. She said these. Hold on.
Can you restate your question just in case?
She said, "Are you going to talk about Captain Africa too?" I don't.
Captain Africa?
Yeah.
What am I? Do I not know what Captain
Or
Africa is?
CPT Africa. I don't know.
I don't know what CPT Africa is.
So she says, Zane said Sierra Leone Nurses Association.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Sierra Leone nurses, and it's Zainab.
Zine. Sorry, I didn't butcher your name. I'm so sorry.
So until we find that question again, Reynolds says, so can U.S. citizens still visit Sierra Leone, or is the restrictions only for Sierra Leoneans coming to the U.S.? So U.S. citizens can still visit Sierra Leone, yes.
Oh,
the restriction.
Sorry to cut you off. She's talking about Ibrahim. I
Traore.
can't say that. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Yes, I'll get to that in a second. So can U.S. citizens still visit Sierra Leone, or is there restrictions for only Sierra Leone coming to the USA? No, there are no restrictions from USA citizens going to Sierra Leone. The issue is people who are Sierra Leoneans trying to get a visa in the United States. So now the question was, what was the specific question? Are we going to talk about Ibrahim Traore?
Yeah, that's what she asked.
Okay. It's not really relevant to this discussion necessarily.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
but
yeah,
we love what he's doing. Like, I love and admire him.
Absolutely. So Ibrahim Traore is someone who we've talked about a ton on this platform. I go live weekly with This Week in Africa, and I go live monthly with African Stream and This Month in Africa. And we talked about Ibrahim Traore on a number of occasions. So I am going live on Tuesday to talk about what Ibrahim Traore has done since taking over Burkina Faso. So a full list of everything he's done and what he's doing right as we speak. So if you guys want to know the specifics on that, we're going to be talking to Enem Richardson, who is on the ground in Burkina Faso more than half of the year. She's traveling right now, but she's been on the ground. She's a reporter for African Stream. If you guys know African Stream, you know African Stream. They do really good work. She is in Burkina Faso most of the year. She started the Thomas Sankara Center, and her Instagram page is called Burkina Books. And it's all about the legacy of Thomas Sankara and Pan-Africanism and teaching Pan-Africanism to the next generation of Africans and African leaders. And so she's opened the Thomas Sankara Center in Burkina Faso, and she just recently opened up a Thomas Sankara Center in Niger. So she's back and forth between Niger and Burkina Faso, and we're going to be talking to her on Tuesday about Ibrahim Traore and what he's been up to. So, so to answer that question, that is something that we will cover there in detail with an expert, someone on the ground who's talking to people, who's seeing it and living it. And she's been there since before Ibrahim Traore took over the country. So she'll be able to, she can speak to what it was like before he was there, the groundswell of support for him right now, and then everything he's done. So stay tuned for that on Tuesday. We will definitely be digging into that in great detail.
Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys are following Joe's pages, his personal page, Joe Hategua.
The name butchering.
I'm so sorry. Make sure you guys are following Authentic African, and of course, make sure you guys are following me, Admire Dimoh, on Instagram, and Sierra Leoneans Killing It. Also, follow these Sierra Leoneans as we post them. Try to see if you can network with them, support them if they're having events, like show up, pull up, and like let's support one another. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. So many of you. So yeah, as Admire mentioned, like, comment, subscribe on all the pages. So, you know, we're across all platforms, right? So, you know, follow us everywhere. You'll, you know, notifications are dim somewhat with Authentic African. It is what it is. You guys know I get shadow banned from time to time. It happens all the time. But like these live streams, if you guys hear about them, pass them on to folks to let them know to come on. You know, we do a lot of work to get firsthand accounts and firsthand knowledge of the topics that everybody is talking about. There's a lot of people posting stuff on Instagram. There's a lot of people posting stuff on YouTube. What I try to do is speak to the people who are intimately involved, who have the knowledge of these topics. Like I said, we're going live on Tuesday with somebody who lives in Burkina Faso, who started the Thomas and Carr Center and who is an actual reporter. So we're going to get the real information from her. Today, the information I gave that wasn't on the slides came from someone who works at the American Embassy in Sierra Leone. So the information I shared with you guys came from that person. So these are first-hand accounts. So make sure you share this with anybody you know who's thinking about anything pertaining to Sierra Leone. These live streams, we're going to work on doing these weekly. And by the way, Admire and I are both in Los Angeles currently. This is the first time we met in person. We're in the same building. She's just upstairs, I'm downstairs. But it's kind of crazy.
We finally met today. We've been doing this social media, friendship, business, what you would call it, collaborative, whatever ship. And we finally met today. I was so happy for that.
Finally, yes, yes. It's the power of the internet. You can go live with someone on a weekly basis, talk to them often, and never actually meet. So we finally met for the first time. So and we met up with some other Sierra Leoneans living in Los Angeles this morning as well. So that was cool too.
And other Sierra Leoneans who don't live here, but they're in town for the BET Awards. So it was so nice just connecting and networking, and we love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks again, guys, for watching. Reno said he thought we were in Sierra Leone. We are not. I was in Sierra Leone a couple weeks ago. I'm not right now. But yeah, so thanks again, guys, for watching. Make sure you share this with anybody you know. Make sure you subscribe to all platforms, follow everywhere. And yeah, we will see you guys all on the next video.
Oh, yeah, next video, because you go live before next Sunday. Make sure you guys tune in for his next video, his next live sessions.
I'll be live twice before Admire and I go live. So I'll be live tomorrow on Monday, live Tuesday as well. And then we'll be live on Sunday. So stay tuned for what the topic is going to be next Sunday, and stay tuned for what's tomorrow and Tuesday. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you all on the next live stream. Bye, guys.
See ya.